If you've been searching for an effective osteoporosis treatment after 50, you've likely realized that a simple calcium pill is not the answer. The truth is, your bones need a specific blueprint of nutrition and movement in order to stay strong. Today, I'm going to give you the ultimate guide to exact daily activities and habits that can help you stop bone loss and reclaim your strength so you can stay active and independent for years to come. Approximately 50% of women and up to 25% of men will break a bone due to osteoporosis. The name osteoporosis means porous bone or brittle, fragile bones. The one-year mortality rate following an osteoporotic hip fracture ranges between 20 to 24%. And most of those deaths do not occur due to the fracture, but because of the resultant immobility, causing things like blood clots, pneumonia, cardiovascular strain, and systemic infections. So we definitely want to avoid that. Doctors provide care and prescriptions that can help, but the actual treatment is really your daily habits. You have such an important role to play in keeping your bones healthy. There are well-known medications that can help to prevent bone loss, but we can actually do so much better when we also take a proactive approach with healthy habits. You can see in this graphic, it's representing a process we call bone remodeling. And this is ongoing throughout life. See, we have cells that are the builders, the osteoblasts, and then the demolition crew or osteoclasts, represented here by the little red circular cells. So before osteoporosis, with normal healthy bone tissue, we have kind of a balance between builders and the demolition crew. And this is normal healthy bone maintenance. When we get into osteoporosis, you can see our little seesaw tilts towards bone loss with more osteoclast activity than osteoblast activity. And so that's what gives us that loss of bone tissue and greater fragility. The breakdown outpaces the repair. Things like weight-bearing exercise, adequate nutrition, strength training help to tip the seesaw back into balance. As we saw in that graphic, the bones need not just calcium, but a variety of minerals, including calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and other trace minerals. A lot of them can be found in leafy greens, dairy products, and nuts. I really like avocados. They have useful minerals. They have magnesium and potassium, as well as a good bit of fiber. So here we've got a representation of proper mineral balance. At the top of our pyramid, we have calcium, and then we have vitamins D, K2, and magnesium. Calcium, of course, is one of the very important building blocks for bones, and a mineral called calcium hydroxyapatite makes up 60 to 70% of bone weight. Vitamin D helps with calcium absorption. We all know that because in the dairy product at the supermarket, you can see that the milk has fortified with vitamin D. But the vitamin D is fat soluble. So if you're taking supplement of vitamin D, make sure you take it with some sort of fat. The optimal levels of vitamin D in the blood should be 50 to 65 nanograms per milliliter. You need vitamin K2 with the vitamin D because this is providing a roadmap or direction to the calcium to make sure that it goes into the bone tissues rather than depositing itself into the blood vessels, where we definitely do not want it depositing. Vitamin K2, that's also a fat-soluble nutrient. General nutrition targets suggest 1 microgram of vitamin K2 per kilogram of body weight. So you kind of figure out what that would be for you. Do not supplement vitamin K2 if you're on anticoagulant medication, because they can interfere with those meds. There's calcium, vitamin D, and K2. Let's move over to magnesium. Magnesium is another important mineral for bone health, but you don't want to take it together with calcium. This can be confusing because very often supplements have both calcium and magnesium. Why would they put them together if they're not supposed to be taken together? The calcium and magnesium, while they do both work together for bone health, they actually interfere with each other's absorptions. They're competing in order to be absorbed. So you want to offset your magnesium supplement from any calcium supplement or calcium containing foods. Magnesium dose, about 300 milligrams per day is appropriate for most people, and it works best if we divide it into 2 doses. There are different forms of magnesium. The most common one that you see in most supplements, if you just go to the supermarket or the pharmacy, you see magnesium oxide. So it's very commonly available. This is not a good choice. It is extremely poorly absorbed. Some of the things I've heard, around 10% is usable. So that's not a good choice. Magnesium glycinate is wonderful. Magnesium citrate is also pretty good, but be careful because it can stimulate the bowel. In fact, those little bottles of colonoscopy prep, that's magnesium citrate. So you know what happens if you take a bunch of magnesium citrate. That's not a useful thing on an ongoing basis. An ideal supplement would be if you had a nice mixture with glycinate, threonate, which helps with the nervous system, citrate to help with digestion, and magnesium malate. The citrate, malate, glycinate, that just means the other compound to which the metal magnesium is bound in order for it to be able to be used in the body. So a nice mixture of those magnesium forms would be useful. It's not just the minerals that build the strong bone. You need protein as well. We could, in fact, think of bone tissue as sticky strands of collagen protein with minerals deposited onto them to make them strong. Make sure you get enough protein. I did another separate video about protein where I talked about all of the different reasons we want to make sure and have enough protein. You can check that out for more information. Recommended amount for women over 40, 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Men, 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Keep in mind that anybody with kidney disease may want to check with their doctor before they increase protein intake. A great way to get nutrition for your bone health is a nice salad with a variety of veggies. You've probably heard the term eat the rainbow. All those different colored vegetables have different nutrients. So that's great. You can add some slivered almonds, sunflower seeds, maybe some blue cheese. I know blue cheese is acquired taste. Love blue cheese personally, but some people hate it. Feta cheese is another good option, or just shredded cheddar cheese. And a nice vinaigrette dressing. Remember, those fat-soluble nutrients like to have fat in order to be absorbed. Sometimes there's concern about the greens problems. As I'm recording this in July of 2026. We're having a little challenge with the lettuce situation in the country right now. You could go to the local farmer's market and find some lettuces that do not have those kind of problems and has the added bonus of being able to support a local grower. Moving on from our nutrition, we need to talk about movement, exercise. Weight-bearing exercise and resistance training are both important for building and maintaining strong, healthy bone tissue. They're different depending on moving against gravity on your feet or working muscles against an added force. So they both stress the bones, but in different ways. Weight bearing provides gravity stress and an impact force, sending a gentle rhythmic shock through the skeleton, particularly the feet, legs, hips, and spine to help stimulate the bones. Examples are walking, hiking, jogging, dancing, climbing stairs. Resistance training helps muscles pulling on the bones and creating tension at the attachment sites where the muscles connect to the bone. And we also have direct bending loads that force specific targeted bones to adapt and harden under heavier localized loads than just gravity. Some examples of resistance training: squats, push-ups, deadlifts, and resistance band exercise. That's like those giant stretchy bands, and they come in different resistance levels, so you can find one that works best for you. Another great exercise, better than just regular walking, is called Nordic walking. You have two poles. Once you learn how to use the poles correctly, they engage more muscles and they can even help you a bit with your balance. Nordic walking poles should be about 68% of your height, so you can calculate the proper length for yourself. Take your height, convert it into centimeters, and then multiply by 0.68. That gives you the length again in centimeters, so convert it to inches or feet or whatever measurement you use to get the right length. There's different materials. Carbon fiber is lighter weight and it also has better vibration absorption. But aluminum, which is another material that those can be made of, stronger and less expensive. There is a company, a Swedish company called Bungee Pump, that actually makes poles that have a specific elastic resistance setting. It's like, I've seen them, you push down and they compress and then they bounce back. Those are not as readily available as the other ones. I've put some articles linked down in the description talking about the different uses of the Nordic walking poles. One of the studies actually used those bungee pump poles with the resistance. You can find tutorials about how to do that, including ones that are video-based. Those will help you learn how to do that Nordic walking if that's something you're interested in. Make sure if you already have low bone density diagnosed, you don't want to do heavy spinal bending and twisting. You want to make sure that you have appropriate exercise. There's a program that's nationwide. It's called Silver Sneakers. And this allows for free access to all kinds of classes. A lot of people have it through their insurance. And so you can find trainers that are specifically set up to help older people find safe exercises. The website is tools.silversneakers.com. Another important piece is the fall prevention. In fact, fear of falling is one of the reasons that a lot of people stop exercising when they get older. So we can work on that with balance work. This is a good preventative method. So the best treatment is never falling in the first place. Staying active, doing regular physical activity helps to improve balance. Make sure your home is free of slip and fall hazards. If you mop the floor or wipe up something, make sure that you dry it thoroughly. Have good shoes that fit properly. Watch out for things like area rugs that can slide. Tai Chi and yoga are both excellent exercises that can help improve strength and balance. There's probably classes in your neighborhood. So our osteoporosis prevention and treatment checklist, we want to make sure that you eat bone building veggies, nuts, and dairy products. If you eat dairy, make sure you get plenty of protein every day. Look at your vitamin D levels, and you can get a supplement of that. If you supplement, make sure you take vitamin K2 with it, and make sure you take the vitamin D and K2 with some sort of fat. That's why I recommended the super salad that I mentioned earlier. And a lot of those greens and veggies already have minerals and vitamins that are good for bones. Salad dressing has fat. Unless you get the fat-free salad dressing, maybe add some extra virgin olive oil if you have fat-free salad dressing. Break your magnesium up into 2 doses and take it offset from any calcium-containing foods or calcium supplements. Do some balance training and weight-bearing exercise every day. I mentioned some of those different possibilities. Just simple walking is a weight-bearing exercise. You want to add some extra oomph, you can do the Nordic walking. Resistance type training activities should be done 2 to 3 non-consecutive days during the week. Non-consecutive because then you have recovery opportunity. Put in the comments one habit that you're going to start today to help prevent osteoporosis. Check out my protein and longevity video for more information on the role of protein. And be sure and like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.